The Bears are back in business. Chicago has made some moves today, once again, to upgrade their roster, mostly on offense, but also on defense, with one of the most underrated free agents available. Andrew Billings played last year for the Las Vegas Raiders, signs a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, fully guaranteed, with 2.4 of that guaranteed. Bears get themselves an upgrade at defensive tackle once again, alongside DeMarcus Walker. Andrew Billings graded as the 16th best interior defensive lineman, and he was by far the best Raiders defensive lineman last year. In his career so far, he is 27 years old. In 2018, graded as 44th. 2019, graded 44th. 2022, 16th. So overall, pretty solid across the board. Run defense, more so his specialty than pass rushing, but he's a fairly well-rounded player. In terms of statistics, 14 games started, 1 sack, 39 tackles. Pretty similar numbers on Cincinnati. 14 starts in 2019, 35 tackles compared to 39, 1 sack. And then Cincinnati, he started again in 2018, 16 games, 32 tackles, and a career-high 2.5 sacks. So, he is mostly a good run defender that can contribute a little bit as a pass rusher. But I think that's a nice combination with DeMarcus Walker, because DeMarcus Walker is more so a pass rusher who can contribute a bit as a run defender. DeMarcus Walker is also a guy that can kind of play everywhere, edge, interior, all that. But Andrew Billings is a better player than what you had last year. Like, the Bears were trying to fill this position with Armon Watts and Justin Jones and Mike Pennell and Angelo Blackson. I mean, these guys are all borderline NFL players. Andrew Billings is more of a borderline NFL starter who's maybe been overlooked in his career, maybe deserves more shine, maybe deserves more credit. And I think this is a great signing. 1 year, $3.5 million. That's a great signing because that could fill a massive hole in an area that you really needed to upgrade with a player that's at least proven that he can perform as a run defender. So I do really like this because Chicago at times really did struggle as a run defense as a whole last year. So this could be a big contribution and a starter for the Bears for a cheap contract. Chicago also went to work offensively with a couple skill players. They signed running back. One of my favorites on the open market, man. Maybe my favorite on the open market. Not saying he was the best. But for the value, DAndre Foreman. It doesn't get much better than that human bus named Foreman, who was just clocking people like George Foreman all 22 year long. DAndre Foreman is 26 years old, and last year he had a career season, even though earlier in his career he had an Achilles tear. Yes, I said it. He had an Achilles tear in 2018. He did not play almost all of 2018, the entire 2019 season. He comes back to football in 2020. He barely plays. He only has 22 attempts. Then he's back as a fixture for Tennessee. He signs with the Titans in Tennessee. He replaces Derrick Henry when he goes down. And he has 133 carries for 566 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4.3 yards per carry, 9 catches, 123 yards. Really has a resurgence. And then last year, he builds off of that with 9 starts post Christian McCaffrey, 203 carries, 914 yards, almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground, 4.5 yards per carry, 5 receptions, 26 yards. Doesn't really catch the ball, but he's a bus. Okay? The Bears don't really need a running back as much that can catch the ball because Justin Fields scrambles a lot and he kind of just avoids throwing the ball to the running back mostly. So having a running back that's just a beast, that's hard to tackle, and then you have the speed threat of Justin Fields, and Foreman's got a little speed to him as well. Like, he can break it away. I'm telling you this right now. He can do that. Still, post Achilles. And he's only 26. I think this is a steal of a signing. One of my favorite signings. 1 year, $3 million, starting running back for that cheap. That's nothing. I love it. And I also like it for Foreman because if he's great this year and rushes for 1,000 yards, he could get another better deal next year with maybe another team or with the Bears or whoever. But I think he fits in well because he complements Fields. Because if you're going to run the ball a lot, he's not the opposite of Fields, but he's a powerhouse, right? So if Fields is your speed threat to the edge, it's kind of like having Gus Edwards if you're the Ravens, right? And Lamar. It's like it's the big bus coming down the middle, and you got the speed threat across the edge, and then you also have Khalil Herbert, who's more of the shifty kind of like change of pace guy. So I like them as a combination, and I like how he fits within this scheme, and I think his efficiency will probably improve because of what scheme he's playing in. He's not playing in a scheme with, Sam Darnold as his quarterback where he's playing in the I formation or in Tennessee where it's a run-first offense where they're packing the box. He's playing in a six-back offense where you have to be aware of the quarterback. So his yards per carry is probably going to go up. So I love this move. He's one of my favorite players in free agency. I'm shocked that other teams didn't see him the same way that I did. After that, they signed Robert Tonyan to a 1-year deal. Not sure of the money, but I don't hate it. Robert Tonyan has shown flashes of being a good tight end in this league, especially as a receiver. I think most of his hype came from the fact that he was like a good target for Aaron Rodgers and a good red zone threat, where they schemed him up a lot of opportunities to score in the red zone. I think Cole Kmet's a better player than Robert Tonyan, but I think he's a solid number 2 tight end. 6'5", 237. He is 28 years old. Last year, he had 53 catches for 470 yards. Better production than I would have thunk. But the thing is, he only caught, every catch was 8.9 on the average, right? Yards per reception. So he's lost a little bit of his explosion since he tore his ACL. Now, maybe post-ACL, he has a year to kind of recover and get back to himself, and he could be more explosive next year. But he wasn't really ever an explosive guy. The thing that Tonyan was more of like a jump ball guy, and he used his frame to catch the football. He's not a great blocker either. They mostly used Mercedes Lewis as that type of guy. He's not terrible as a blocker, but he wasn't their go-to guy in that department. 2020 was his breakout year with 52 catches for 586 yards and 11 touchdowns. He had a catch percentage of 88, which is almost improbable and impossible to repeat. This year it was 79.1, but again, a lot shorter yards per reception. That season it was 11.3. This year it was 8.9. So I think he's a solid number 2 tight end who knows the system, right? Luke Getsy knows him, right? So it makes sense that they bring him in because they're familiar with the player and he knows the system. So he's going to be able to push Cole Kmet, and he's going to be able to give them someone to put into 2 tight end, 3 tight end formations. So I don't hate the signing. I just don't think it might have more hype for Bears fans than it should, because he's not an amazing player. He's a fine player. He's a good role player. And then lastly, they signed PJ Walker. PJ Walker is an NFL backup quarterback, but he has a great story. He's a great character guy in the locker room, and he'll be great for Justin Fields. He's had a lot of experience. He played in the XFL. He came from nothing, right? He's got a lot of work ethic. 5'11", 210. He's small, but I thought he played okay last year in his moments. He was 2 for 2 and 3. I thought he played better than Baker Mayfield did in that offense for Carolina. I'll say that much. He had 731 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 78 passer rating. In his first 2 years, nothing great. I mean, he's a low end. I don't know. He's a guy that could start a game in a pinch, but he's a backup. That's what he is. He's not a guy that I would even say is a bridge quarterback quality. He's a backup. But he's a great character, great story, and a great guy to have in the locker room. So PJ Walker to the Bears, Tonyan, Foreman, and Billings. I love these signings for the most part. I think the Billings and the Foreman ones are home runs, great values. I think the Tonyan one is okay. I think the PJ Walker one is what it is. But yeah, let me know, Bears fans, what you guys think. I think you guys have had a really nice offseason. Now, I will say, I think they need to continue to hit the offensive line and defensive line. I need to continue to see that. But at this point, this season for you guys, you're going to have enough talent to compete in this division. And it's going to come down to your coaching, and it's going to come down to your quarterback play. And ultimately, Justin Fields is going to have to prove it this year. So that's what it comes down to for me. Bears are getting closer in terms of their talent. I don't think they're as talented as the Lions or the Packers. They're probably along the same lines as the Vikings, but the Vikings have the better quarterback, the better playmakers, right? Or the better playmaker with Justin Fields, better offense, better play calling. So they proved it last year, and they brought in Brian Flores. But the Bears could make a splash this year if these pieces come together right. They have enough talent now. It's not like last year where they had no talent. This year they've got talent. So it's up to the coaching to mesh it and mold it, and it's up to Fields to take it.